Authenticity is a word that gets used so often it has almost lost its meaning. But for an Aquarius, authenticity is not a concept or a trend. It is the central organizing principle of your entire life. Everything you have ever done that felt right, every decision that brought you peace, every relationship that endured. All of them were rooted in moments when you chose to be real rather than acceptable. Today we are going to explore 12 lessons in authenticity that have the power to change your life, not because they teach you something new, but because they remind you of something you have always known. Lesson 1. The first lesson is that authenticity begins with self-honesty, and self-honesty is harder than it looks. You pride yourself on being honest, and in your interactions with others you generally are. But the honesty that matters most is the kind you practice with yourself, in the private moments when no one else is watching. It is the willingness to admit that you are afraid when you would rather appear confident. It is the courage to acknowledge that you do not have the answer when everything in your nature wants to produce one. It is the humility to recognize that some of the beliefs you have carried for decades may no longer be serving you, even though they feel as essential as your own name. Self-honesty is the foundation of authenticity, because you cannot be real with others until you are real with yourself. And being real with yourself means examining your motivations, your fears, your desires, and your habits without the protective lens of your preferred self-image. This is uncomfortable work. It requires you to sit with truths that your ego would rather avoid. But every time you do it, every time you look at yourself without flinching and say this is what is true right now, you strengthen the muscle that makes all other forms of authenticity possible. For an Aquarius who has lived long enough to have accumulated layers of identity, assumption, and habit, this practice of radical self-honesty is both the most challenging and the most rewarding thing you can do. It strips away what is no longer real and reveals what has been real all along. And what has been real all along is always, without exception, more beautiful and more powerful than the constructed version you have been presenting to the world. Lesson 2. The second lesson is that saying no is one of the most authentic things you can do. Throughout your life, you have said yes to things that did not serve you. Out of obligation, out of guilt, out of the fear that saying no would disappoint someone or damage a relationship. And every time you said yes when your truth was no, you spent a piece of your energy maintaining a position that was false. That cumulative expenditure has cost you more than you realize. It has created fatigue that rest cannot fix, resentment that you feel guilty for feeling, and a subtle but persistent sense that your life does not fully belong to you. The authentic act of saying no is not about being selfish or difficult. It is about honoring the finite nature of your energy and directing it toward the things that genuinely matter to you. Every no you speak from a place of truth creates space for a yes that is equally true. And those true yes are the building blocks of a life that feels genuinely yours rather than a patchwork of obligations stitched together by someone else's expectations. Learning to say no gracefully, without over-explaining or apologizing, is a skill that many Aquarius develop late in life. But once it is developed, it transforms the texture of your daily experience. Conversations become more honest, commitments become more meaningful, and the energy that was previously consumed by maintaining false positions becomes available for the creative, spiritual, and relational pursuits that actually light you up from the inside. Lesson 3. The third lesson is that your weirdness is your greatest asset. Every Aquarius has aspects of themselves that do not fit neatly into conventional categories, ways of thinking, interests, habits, perspectives, or preferences that set them apart from the majority. And for much of your life, you may have managed those differences carefully, revealing them selectively, downplaying them in certain company, keeping the most unusual parts of yourself hidden from public view. But the lesson that time eventually teaches is that the things you were trying to hide were always the most interesting, the most valuable, and the most essentially you. Your unconventional perspective is not a liability to be managed. It is the source of every original contribution you have ever made. The ideas that came from your willingness to think differently. The solutions that emerged because you refused to follow the expected path. The connections you forged with people who recognized something real in you precisely because it was different from everything they encountered elsewhere. Embracing your weirdness fully without apology or qualification is one of the most liberating things you can do at this stage of your life. You have spent decades earning the right to be exactly who you are. You have proven yourself in countless ways that have nothing to do with conformity. And the people who matter, the ones whose opinions actually carry weight in your life, are not the ones who want you to be more normal. They are the ones who celebrate you precisely because you are not. Let them see all of it. The strange passions, the unconventional opinions, the quirks that make you irreplaceably you. Because a world full of normal has never needed your particular brand of unusual more than it does right now. Lesson 4. The fourth lesson is that vulnerability is not the opposite of strength. It is the evidence of it. An Aquarius builds walls that are invisible, but incredibly effective. You can be sitting right next to someone, engaging in what appears to be a deep conversation, while your actual feelings remain safely locked away behind a barrier that you have been constructing since childhood. These walls have protected you. They have allowed you to function in environments that were emotionally unsafe, to maintain your composure during crises, to present a face to the world that is calm and competent, even when your inner experience is anything but. And you should honor those walls for the service they have provided. But now, in this season of your life, many of those walls are no longer necessary. The dangers they were built to guard against have passed. The people you were protecting yourself from are no longer present. And the walls that once kept you safe have become the primary obstacle between you and the depth of connection your soul is craving. Vulnerability is the willingness to let the walls down, selectively and intentionally, with people who have earned your trust. It is not about broadcasting your feelings to the world. It is about allowing one or two trusted individuals to see behind the composed exterior to the real, messy, complicated human being who lives there. And the paradox is that the moment you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you do not feel weaker. You feel stronger. Because the strength required to be vulnerable is far greater than the strength required to maintain a wall. Anyone can hide. But showing someone who you really are, with all the imperfections and uncertainties that implies, takes a courage that most people never develop. You have that courage. You always have. Lesson 5. The fifth lesson is that your intuition deserves as much respect as your intellect. An Aquarius has a magnificent intellect, and that intellect has been the primary tool through which you have navigated the world. But alongside that intellect, there exists another form of intelligence that is equally powerful, equally reliable, and significantly underutilized: your intuition. This is the knowing that arrives without explanation, the feeling that something is right or wrong before you can articulate why, the subtle pull toward one direction that your rational mind has no basis for. You have experienced this intuition countless times throughout your life, and if you are honest, you will admit that it has been right more often than it has been wrong. But despite its track record, you continue to subordinate it to your intellect, waiting for logical confirmation before you trust what your deeper knowing already revealed. This year, the lesson of authenticity is asking you to balance these two forms of intelligence. Not to abandon reason, which would be neither wise nor authentically Aquarian, but to give your intuition equal standing in your decision-making process. When your intellect says one thing and your intuition says another, instead of automatically deferring to the intellect, pause. Sit with the tension. Allow both voices to speak without either one silencing the other. You may find that your intuition catches things your intellect misses, particularly in matters of relationships, timing, and personal direction. And you may discover that the integration of these two forms of intelligence produces a wisdom that is greater than either one could achieve alone. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Lesson 6. The sixth lesson is that authenticity in relationships requires the willingness to disappoint people. This is perhaps the hardest lesson on this list because an Aquarius, despite the reputation for detachment, cares deeply about the people in their life. And the thought of disappointing someone you care about creates a resistance that can keep you trapped in inauthentic behavior for years. You agree to things you do not want. You suppress opinions that might create conflict. You perform versions of yourself that are designed to meet someone else's expectations, rather than express your own truth. And each time you do this, you pay a double price: the energy of the performance and the slow erosion of the relationship's foundation, which can only be as strong as the honesty it is built upon. The lesson here is not that you should go out of your way to disappoint people. It is that the willingness to risk disappointment is a prerequisite for any relationship that is genuinely deep, genuinely intimate, and genuinely lasting. When you hide your truth to avoid conflict, you are not protecting the relationship. You are protecting a fiction. And the longer that fiction persists, the wider the gap grows between who the other person thinks you are and who you actually are. Eventually, that gap becomes unbridgeable, and the relationship you were trying to preserve collapses under the weight of accumulated inauthenticity. The alternative is beautifully simple, though not always easy. Be honest from the start. Share your actual perspective, your real feelings, your genuine boundaries, even when you know they might create temporary discomfort. The people who truly belong in your life will receive your honesty with gratitude rather than rejection. And the ones who cannot tolerate your authenticity were never truly connecting with you in the first place. They were connecting with a character you were playing. Lesson 7. The seventh lesson is that rest is not the absence of productivity. It is a form of authentic self-expression. You have spent most of your life defining yourself by what you do, what you create, what you contribute. And while action and contribution are genuinely important parts of who you are, they do not represent the whole of you. There is a part of your nature that needs stillness, that craves quiet, that cannot express itself through activity, and can only emerge in the spaces between efforts. When you deny yourself rest, when you push through fatigue because there is always more to be done, you are silencing a voice within you that has something essential to say. And that voice, the one that speaks only in silence, often carries the deepest wisdom you have access to. The lesson of authenticity here is about expanding your definition of yourself beyond the doer, the thinker, the creator. You are also the observer, the stillness, the awareness that exists underneath all activity. And that dimension of yourself is not lazy or unproductive. It is the very ground from which your most meaningful actions arise. When you rest authentically, not as a collapse at the end of exhaustion but as a deliberate, chosen state, you recharge not just your body but your creative capacity, your emotional resilience, and your spiritual depth. You return to action not depleted but renewed, not merely functional but genuinely inspired. This year, make rest a non-negotiable part of your authentic life. Not because you have earned it through sufficient effort, but because it is as essential to who you are as the effort itself. Lesson 8. The eighth lesson is that changing your mind is not a betrayal of who you are. It is a confirmation of it. An Aquarius can become so identified with their opinions and beliefs that changing them feels like losing a part of their identity. You have thought deeply about your positions. You have arrived at them through careful analysis and genuine conviction. And to suddenly acknowledge that one of those positions may have been wrong or incomplete, or simply outdated, can feel like an admission of failure. But the truth is exactly the opposite. The willingness to change your mind when new evidence or deeper understanding becomes available is one of the highest expressions of intellectual authenticity. It says that you value truth more than consistency, that you are committed to reality rather than to the comfort of being right. An authentic person is not someone who never changes. An authentic person is someone who changes whenever change is warranted, without clinging to old positions for the sake of appearances. This lesson becomes increasingly important as you age because the temptation to solidify your beliefs, to become a fixed monument to the conclusions of your younger mind, grows stronger with each passing year. But an Aquarius was never meant to solidify. You were meant to remain fluid, adaptive, perpetually open to the next insight that reshapes your understanding. That fluidity is not instability. It is the mark of a mind that is still alive, still learning, still growing. And in a world that desperately needs people who are willing to evolve their thinking, your willingness to change your mind is not a weakness. It is a service. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Lesson 9. The ninth lesson is that your life does not need an audience to be meaningful. In a world that increasingly measures value through visibility, likes, and external recognition, it can be easy to forget that the most important things you do often happen where no one is watching. The kindness you show to someone who will never tell anyone about it. The inner battle you fight and win without anyone knowing it was happening. The quiet discipline of showing up for yourself day after day without applause or encouragement. These invisible acts of integrity are the true substance of your life, and they are far more valuable than anything that can be captured in a public display. For an Aquarius who often has a complicated relationship with recognition, wanting to make an impact but simultaneously resisting the spotlight, this lesson offers a kind of freedom that is deeply needed. You do not need to be seen in order to matter. You do not need to be acknowledged in order to make a difference. Your authenticity is not performance art that requires an audience to be valid. It is the private practice of living according to your deepest values, whether anyone notices or not. And the peace that comes from this understanding is unlike any peace that external validation can provide. It is the peace of a person who knows their worth is inherent, not earned through visibility, and who can therefore live and create and contribute without the exhausting pressure of needing to be noticed. This freedom allows your authenticity to deepen, because you are no longer editing yourself for public consumption. You are simply being fully and without reservation, in whatever context you find yourself. Lesson 10. The 10th lesson is that forgiveness is an act of radical authenticity. When you carry resentment, when you hold on to anger about something that was done to you years or decades ago, you are living in a reality that no longer exists. The moment has passed. The pain was real, and your response to it was valid. But the continued maintenance of that resentment is not honest. It is a refusal to accept that the past cannot be changed, and that your energy is better directed toward what can be. Forgiveness does not mean agreeing with what happened. It does not mean pretending the pain was not real, or that the person who caused it deserves absolution. It means releasing your emotional attachment to a version of reality that is finished, and freeing yourself to fully inhabit the present. For an Aquarius, forgiveness can be particularly challenging, because your memory is long and your sense of justice is strong. When someone acts in a way that violates your principles, you do not forget. And that capacity for remembering, while it protects you from repeating mistakes, can also trap you in a cycle of reliving experiences that have already taught you everything they have to teach. The authentic act is to take the lesson and release the pain. To say, I was hurt, I learned something, and I am moving forward without carrying this weight any longer. This act of release is not a gift to the person who hurt you. It is a gift to yourself. And it opens space for the new experiences, new relationships, and new chapters that cannot enter your life, as long as the old ones are still occupying all the room. Lesson 11. The 11th lesson is that your body is one of the most honest things about you. While your mind can rationalize, your emotions can be suppressed, and your social self can perform, your body simply tells the truth. It tightens when you are in a situation that is wrong for you. It relaxes when you are in alignment with your authentic self. It generates energy when you are pursuing something meaningful and drains energy when you are engaged in something false. Learning to read your body's messages is one of the most practical skills an Aquarius can develop because it provides a direct, unfiltered channel to your own truth that bypasses all the intellectual complexity your mind is capable of generating. This lesson is about developing a daily practice of body awareness, of checking in with your physical sensations throughout the day, and using them as data about your level of authenticity. When your chest tightens in a conversation, pay attention. Something is being said or done that does not align with your truth. When your shoulders drop and your breathing deepens in a particular environment, pay attention. You are somewhere that supports who you really are. When your energy surges in response to an idea or an opportunity, pay attention. Your body is confirming what your intuition already knows. Over time, this practice creates an internal guidance system that is remarkably accurate and instantly accessible. You do not need to analyze a situation for hours in order to know whether it is right for you. Your body already has the answer. You simply need to learn the language it speaks, and this year provides the perfect conditions for developing that fluency. Lesson 12. The 12th and final lesson is that living authentically is its own reward. You do not need a reason to be real. You do not need to justify your authenticity by pointing to the benefits it produces, the relationships it improves, or the opportunities it creates. Those things may happen, and they probably will, but they are not the point. The point is that being yourself fully and without compromise is the most natural and the most sacred thing a human being can do. It is not a strategy. It is not a means to an end. It is the end itself. When you are authentic, you are in alignment with the fundamental truth of your existence. And that alignment produces a quality of experience that no external achievement, no amount of approval, no accumulation of resources can replicate. It is the feeling of being at home in your own skin, of moving through the world without the weight of pretense, of knowing that the face you show the world is the same face you see in the mirror. For an Aquarius who has spent a lifetime navigating the tension between fitting in and standing out, this lesson is both the simplest and the most profound. You do not need to fit in. You never did. And the energy you spent trying, however subtly, however unconsciously, can now be redirected toward the singular, beautiful, irreplaceable project of being yourself. Not a better version of yourself. Not an improved or optimized version. Just you as you are in all your brilliant, unconventional, deeply human glory. That is enough. That has always been enough. These 12 lessons are not instructions from outside. They are echoes of what you already know. Reflections of a truth that has been living inside you for longer than you can remember. Authenticity is not something you need to learn. It is something you need to stop unlearning. Every social pressure, every disappointing experience, every moment when being real cost you something valuable has added another layer between you and the authentic self that was always there beneath it all. And each of these lessons is an invitation to peel back one of those layers, to come a little closer to the original, undamaged, unapologetic version of yourself that has been patiently waiting for you to return. That return is not dramatic. It is quiet, gradual, and deeply personal. But it is the most important journey you will ever take. And every step you take on that journey changes the quality of your life in ways that nothing else can. You have the wisdom to understand these lessons. You have the experience to appreciate their depth. And you have the courage because you have always had the courage to live them fully, starting now, starting here, starting with the very next breath you take. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift. Or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.